d4 square. So a lot of times from here you'll see people just come up to c3, and here's a very crucial move that, as you can see, starts the queenside attack. And again, there's many variations. So if you do come across one, and you want some analysis on it, just let me know. I'm just going over a few of the things that I see all the time when I play the French defense and like to exploit. But usually I just bring my queen into the action on b6, and this does a couple things, and you'll be surprised how often people just don't know how to play very well against this. It's adding another attacker onto this d4 square. As you can see, we've got we still have our bishop raining down on the c5 square, but we have now 1, 2, 3 with our pawn, knight, and queen here on the d5 square. And also we're attacking, our queen is attacking this b2 square. And many times you may see white develop his bishop to let's say e2. And many times you can develop, let's say, your knight to h6, which kind of looks like a funny move, and white usually jumps on the bandwagon to take this, because they're like, well, we'll double up your pawn on h6 here. But instead, white's just going to, or excuse me, black's going to just come down to the b2 square. And even if black doesn't develop his knight to h6, a lot of time white just feels that they need to develop their bishop from c1, and we can just come down and capture on the b2 square. It's a brutal attack. Obviously you can see if knight moves, then the queen can just capture on the c3 square, checking the king and attacking the rook. And if he doesn't move, then we can simply just capture the rook. So this queen here on b6 is just a very useful piece that you can use, not only to attack more on the d4 square, but also a possible attack on the b2 square. So that is definitely something. Again, I moved the knight to h6. Obviously, we're not going to move it to f6 since there's a pawn there. And I hate to move it already to the e7 square because we have not developed our bishop. Obviously, if we want to, we could develop our bishop to maybe e7 as kind of a waiting move. We're obviously not going to bring it to d6 yet. So logically, it would make sense to bring it to h6. That's why I did that. So that is just something to keep an eye on. Obviously, the center will eventually get broken up. And then in this case, obviously, we somehow, as you can see, this bishop here is still a weakness for us. So eventually, when we start our attack on the queen side, we will want to free up this bishop on the light square. But already you can tell we have a queen side attack coming, and eventually white's going to start a king side attack. They'll probably develop their bishop sometime, maybe after they've blocked our queen side. Both sides are going to castle king side. It's just going to happen. If white castles queen side, he's got an attack coming. That's not good. And for the most part, as you can see, it's a closed up center here. So there's probably not going to be Fanchetto bishops. The bishops aren't going to be on g2 and g7. So just something also to keep in mind. If you do see that, just exploit that weakness that you see from your opponent. So we're going to go back to the beginning and look at a different option that you may see, and that is simply if white doesn't go where we just talked about. So we'll go over the French defense, e4, e6, and let's see, d4, d5 as we talked about. And here, instead of moving forward, we're just going to do a simple knight to b3, or excuse me, c3. And this you actually will see quite often. I normally see knight to c3, or just moving the pawn forward to e5 here. Either one doesn't matter. From here, we're actually going to play a little bit differently. The knight here is attacking our pawn here and this pawn here, so we can't we can't quite capture. Instead, we're just going to bring our knight into the action, putting added pressure on here. So now we have our pawn attacking and our knight attacking. For the most part, white's not going to continue to jeopardize his king side by moving something like f3 right away. Instead, white's now normally going to push up and move that knight out of the way. And so from here, as you can see, it's kind of a similar situation that we had earlier with the pawns on d4 and d5. And here we can just easily move our knight to the d7 square. And nothing has really changed. We haven't blocked in our dark square bishop. Our queen wasn't coming to the d7 square anyway, so that doesn't hinder him at all. And our light square bishop is not any more blocked in than he was before. A lot of people would look at this move and be like, oh man, you blocked in pieces. But if you really look at it and analyze it, we haven't blocked any pieces that weren't blocked in before. So we can continue on with our normal gameplay. We just have an extra piece developed. Once we play our dark square bishop here, then our king can castle right away. We don't have to develop our knight. Our knight doesn't have to come to this silly h6 square. So I actually prefer, a lot of times you'll see this c3 development. I don't mind that at all, because I actually like having my knight here on d7 anyway. Adds an extra attacker to this c5 square along with the e5 square. So if you do see the c3 from the knight, don't worry, it's actually not a bad thing. Eventually, as we said before, black wants to develop his pawn to the c5 square, adding more pressure. He still has the bishop on f8 as the defender, and now he has the defender from the knight on d7. So hope this helped. There's a lot of different variations, but I feel this is actually a very, very sound and good defense that I play almost exclusively against the e4 pawn opening from white, and really like it. Obviously I mix in something like the Sicilian, but hope the ideas really helped you guys out. Please subscribe to the videos. I've got a lot more coming out, but that really helps out if you guys subscribe. Leave comments if you have any questions or any videos you want to see or questions about this video or any others. Just leave me a little note, let me know what you think. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next video. Thanks.